ask you how you did it, used to keep it on the low. Now I think they need to know. When you get it, how I get it, you don't worry about a gimmick. Turn my life into a show, selling tickets at the door.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And first and foremost, I hope everybody had a safe and happy Christmas. I just want to take a moment as I want to continue to take this moment and thank all of the community members who have prayed for my family, sent clothes for Jordan, paper towels, toilet paper, food, gifts for Jordan. Me and Katie were really nervous about what this Christmas was going to look like, not only for Jordan, but for us as a family. And I think that I definitely need to take the time to thank everybody who has stood by and continues to stand by us as we try to navigate this extremely corrupt system to which we have found ourselves right smack in the middle of. What I want to talk about, though, tonight is something that I have to say. When I was made aware of this situation by a fellow citizen who we will leave unnamed, I almost couldn't believe it. Are they that brazen? Or do they think that the people are this stupid? And I have to say, after reading what I found, I have to admit, I think that we are all a bunch. I think they think that we are all a bunch of fools. And who I'd like to talk to, and it's fitting because it's December, is our district attorney, Nicole Ziccarelli. Now, Miss Ziccarelli was sworn in January of 2022, and in December of 2023, Miss Ziccarelli got into an accident with a taxpayer supplied vehicle at 3:30 in the morning. So we're going to go over a couple articles and some of the things that really don't make sense. And just, I don't know, you'll have to drop in the comments how you feel after looking at this material, but I can tell you this: I feel insulted that they think so lowly or so poorly on the citizen. I mean, as though we are complete and total fools. So this was an article put out, after the accident. So although Westmoreland County District Attorney Nicole Ziccarelli described the crash she had in her county provided SUV, which means taxpayer SUV, last year as minor, it resulted in nearly a $33,000 repair bill. So I would have to say, already here, I'm feeling insulted that this woman has the audacity to call an accident to which she did $33,000 roughly in damage to a taxpayer vehicle. She's calling that a minor accident. It was a 2021 Ford Explorer XLT four-wheel drive. Keep that in mind. Four-wheel drive SUV that was assigned to her, as I said, when she took office in January of 2022. It sustained damage when she crashed on a snowy road in Murrysville in the early hours. That would be 3:30 a.m. on December 18th. So already I have some questions. First and foremost, the main one, I'm going to need to know what your definition, Ms. Ziccarelli, of minor is. Once we get that squared away, I'm really curious why you were driving a taxpayer vehicle at 3:30 in the morning. But don't worry, we will get to that. In a crash report that Ziccarelli filed 2 days later. So that's another thing that I'm kind of curious about. Why was the crash report not filed immediately, as is required for anybody else who gets into an accident? You typically don't get in an accident and then file a report days after the accident. So why this special treatment for Ms. Ziccarelli? So in a crash report, as I said, filed 2 days later with the Westmoreland County Human Resources Department, she claimed blizzard conditions caused the crash. And I'm not saying that there weren't blizzard conditions. I'm not saying that they couldn't have played a role in the crash. But what I will remind everybody is that, this happened in 2023. This is a 2021, so 2 years old, Ford Explorer XLT four-wheel drive SUV. But like I said, I'm not saying that blizzard conditions didn't play a role in this crash, but I almost wonder if there were some other conditions that played a role. So this was what her account of what happened. As I approached the stop sign at the corner of Cherry Drive and Windover Road, I hit black ice and couldn't stop. My vehicle was propelled forward into a small sapling tree and pushed into the driver's side bumper area of a parked car. So, by her account, she hit a small sapling and was pushed into the driver's side bumper area of a parked car. Now, when I envision this scenario, when I close my eyes and I envision a Ford Explorer XLT four-wheel drive hitting into a small sapling and then hitting into the bumper of another vehicle that's parked. Yeah, I'm just not seeing $33,000 in damage. Okay, the crash caused airbags to be deployed, and it had to be towed from the scene. She said she was returning from assisting a grieving friend when the crash occurred. According to the police report and a statement from the district attorney last month. So 3:30 in the morning, you have a grieving friend, and I'm not here to say that that's not the truth. I don't know what Miss Ziccarelli was doing at 3:30 in the morning. What I can say is that so far she seems to be telling some fibs, minor crash, $33,000 in damage. So, once somebody starts to be deceitful, you can't help but look at everything after the deceit, because it's deceitful to tell the taxpayer that this is a minor accident. So, moving forward, this is the first article I looked at. I'm going to show them to you in the order that I found them. I question, is that really what you were doing out at 3:30 in the morning? So they had a repair estimate. It was done by Jason McNogna. It was more than $32,700, and the itemized list of damage included 180 items. So again, let's close our eyes. Ford Explorer 2021 XLT four-wheel drive. We hit some ice. We're now sliding. We hit into a small sapling and the bumper of a parked car. Again, I don't know what the 180 items you damaged. On top of the fact it says that the fixes included the SUV's front end, roof, door, and electrical system, as well as needing to replace all the airbags because this small sapling tree and this parked car's bumper caused all, the airbags to deploy. So, okay. Mind you, the car is valued at $33,000. So you totaled it. I don't know who in their right mind categorize, because that's a total. I mean, 32,700 in damage. That's what the repair bill is on a vehicle that's $33,000. Ms. Ziccarelli, you totaled the taxpayer's vehicle. You totaled it. I don't know why we didn't just file a claim to total the vehicle out and get a new one. Why we paid somebody to repair $32,700 in damage to a vehicle that's only valued at $33,000. So, I mean, we're only on page 2 of the first article, and personally, I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. So let's keep going because we got more. Ziccarelli via email said that as district attorney, she has met every county requirement and uses her personal vehicle outside of work duties. If that's a true statement, Ms. Ziccarelli, then I would have to ask you what the official work duties were at 3:30 in the morning when you took a taxpayer-funded vehicle to console a grieving friend. Not a grieving constituent, not a grieving taxpayer. I'm not saying that this person isn't a constituent. I don't know who they are. I'm not saying they're not a taxpayer. They very well may be a taxpayer in Westmoreland County, but you chose to classify them as your friend. So I'm going to say that's personal use of the vehicle. But again, I'm just a uneducated, citizen. I don't know the ins and outs of what you do, Ms. Ziccarelli. So then at least this article took it upon themselves to headline it with quotations around minors. So clearly there were other people that felt like me, and BS, Ms. Ziccarelli, BS. So here we have, Westmoreland County District Attorney Nicole Ziccarelli said a crash involving her government take-home vehicle was minor. We've already been over that. 3:30 a.m., December 18th, we got all that. She was following her friend in a separate vehicle from Tree Line Drive to 12 Oaks Court. Ziccarelli was with her friend due to the sudden loss of her friend's mother. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not going to say it's true, and I'm not going to say it's a lie, but I'm saying that's something that many people wouldn't question, right? You're not going to question somebody saying they're doing that. Again, I'm not saying that wasn't the case, but what I will say is that let's think about this logically here. So the friend got some bad news at 3:30 in the morning. They're grieving. You drove to where they were at, which I don't know if that was their home and you were following them to another. Point being, though, if this person is grieving so heavily and they're so distraught at 3:30 in the morning because of this horrific news, why are they driving? Why are you? It would have looked a little better for you, Ms. Ziccarelli, had you have drove to where this person was and they were with you in the vehicle, as though, they were just so distraught that they couldn't get themselves where they needed to go at that time. But clearly they had the ability to be driving in a separate car. So again, I'll ask, what were you doing out at 3:30 in the morning in a taxpayer funded vehicle that you totaled in what can only be assumed was not a minor accident based on the $32,700 repair bill? I mean, Mr. Corelli, do you truthfully believe that we are that stupid? Do you think so little of the taxpayer? Do you think so little of the people that voted to put you in office that you think that you're just going to tell us and spin a bunch of webs of BS and we're just going to just eat it all up, keep going, not ask questions? So this happened in Murrysville. Now you got to pay attention to this because it ties in with something else later. So Murrysville police Captain Tom Kaczynski said the investigation found no evidence of criminal behavior. Ms. Ziccarelli showed no signs of impairment, was completely respectful and cooperative with both officers on scene. The officers are both trained in detection of impairment and would have handled any situation presented to them accordingly. I would hope so. I would hope that Ms. Ziccarelli, being the district attorney, wouldn't buy her any kind of special treatment. I hope. I have to say that it's been my experience that sometimes favors do get done and sometimes people do flex their position of power and authority to get a different set of rules than the average taxpayer has to play by. I can't say for sure that's what happened here, but what I can show you is something that definitely raises a little bit of question. So McCloskey did not release any other details when asked about Ziccarelli's crash. That would be the Public Works Director, Greg McCloskey. According to the county's fleet policy, employees involved in crashes while driving government vehicles are required to file prompt reports. Not 2 days later, prompt reports, Miss Ziccarelli. County officials confirmed the report was filed late last month, but did not respond to requests to make Ziccarelli's report public or release damage estimates for the vehicle. I'd like to state that personal use is described in the county policy as a stop at convenience stores in the course of commute, a small personal detour while on business, such as driving to lunch while out of the office on business, or infrequent commuting in employer vehicle. Not going out during a snowstorm at 3:30 in the morning, Miss Ziccarelli. So your previous statement that you followed all the policies and procedures, again, I'm calling BS. None of this is making sense to me. So then in our final article, we have here with her boy, right? This is actually one of my good friends too, Chief Detective Ron Zona. And if you've been following anything that I've been posting, you know why me and Ron Zona are such good friends right now. but he is also somebody that I've been looking heavily into, and I don't really like the things that I have found. So Ziccarelli, again, a first-term Republican from Lower Borough, drove her county vehicle 9 days and 533 miles in February, according to mileage logs, which was a 36% decrease from her vehicle use in January. So she's not driving it as much, after this incident. The district attorney's vehicle, of course, came into question because of the accident. Ziccarelli's county issued SUV, again, as she's claiming, skidded on an icy roadway, hitting a small tree, blah, blah, blah. But here's where Mr. Zona comes into play. Now, I can tell you firsthand, Mr. Zona is a very dishonest human being. He's a liar. He abuses his power. He abuses his authority. I mean, if we're just going to sum it up in one word, tyrant. Mr. Ron Zona is a tyrant. So here's what Mr. Zona had to say. The chief detective for the district attorney's office on December 19th notified the county's fleet manager and human resources department that the property owner contacted officials about the damage, as they should have. This is what the homeowner told Ron Zona, and then I'll give you his response to what the homeowner said. He said he's leaving the tree against his son's car, and they are not moving it until someone from the insurance comes to see it. That sounds pretty reasonable. I would suggest that anybody who has any sort of property damage or any type of insurance claim is going to come about from some sort of damage, don't touch anything. Let the insurance company come and look at what they need to look at and do what they need to do. I've dealt with many insurance companies on the contracting side of life, outside of like a hole in your roof or a tree has come through a wall where we want to get out there and get it repaired and get it fixed up so that your family's not exposed to the elements while waiting. We fully document it, videos, pictures, the whole nine. But something like this, a vehicle, if you don't absolutely need to drive it, just leave it go. Wait for the insurance to come out and assess the situation and do their job. But this is what Ron Zona thought of that. He thinks that this is going way overboard because it is a small tree. Everybody wants to keep calling this thing a small tree. And I just keep thinking about a repair bill of $32,700, a 180 items, including the roof, the electrical system, replacement of airbags, damage to the front end. I mean, I'm envisioning a car that's mangled. When you tell me we have a car that's valued at $33,000 and the amount of damage done to it was $32,700 based on the repair estimate, I'm envisioning a mangled vehicle. Something that I have had some experience with recently. Those of you that have been following me know that I definitely know what a total vehicle looks like. And I'm just having such a hard time wrapping my mind around a small sapling. And, this guy just had a broken headlight, but her car is completely mangled. So according to the email, Ron said the property owner's insurance company deferred from processing a claim. Attempts to contact the property owner were unsuccessful. County officials responded to the Trib's public records request, said it had no documents related to a private insurance claim filed in connection with Ziccarelli's crash. Again, I'm just sitting here confused because none of it's making sense to me. Now, here's another part that I was a little bit offended by. So I think this Melanie Jones, is a spokeswoman for the district attorney. She had made a comment in the first article that DA Ziccarelli has voluntarily paid for the $2,500 deductible out of her own pocket, so the cost does not fall on the taxpayer. I hear this a lot, especially in North Huntington Township, because they have settled so many lawsuits within the last 10 years. It would make you sick, right? And I plan on going through each and every one of those to kind of let you guys know what's going on. But it seems like that's a common theme with their lawsuit settlements, is saying, we have insurance, didn't cost the taxpayers anything. Ms. Ziccarelli here as well, I paid the $2,500 deductible out of my own pocket because I was driving a county-funded vehicle at 3:30 in the morning for personal use. you're not doing us any favors, Miss Ziccarelli. And I don't care if you have, just because you have insurance doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want because it's going to be covered. Because the way that I understand insurance policies to work is when you start claiming things against them, they start raising the premiums. If you claim too many things against them, they start dropping you. When other insurance companies see that you've been dropped from insurance companies, they start charging you more from the gate. So, for this to even be pointed out as though she's doing some favor to the taxpayer, again, I feel insulted. But I would like to revisit that captain, right? This is the captain that made the statements about how cooperative Miss Ziccarelli was, how she didn't, there was no signs of any impairment. This is him, right? And he has been with Murrysville since 2005. He came from Edgewood. He was a patrolman in Edgewood. And I want you to remember Edgewood because that's going to be important here in a couple seconds. But this is him being promoted to chief. Murrysville police captain settling in a new position. I'm not going to go through this, but this article discusses the promotion of Tom Kaczynski to the position of captain at the Murrysville Police Department, right? So this is prior to the accident, he had become the captain. And then 6 months after this accident, July 3rd, 2024, her accident happened December of 2023, so roughly 6 months. He's now the chief. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? There's a whole bunch of shit that's not making sense to me. The minor accident statement. Meanwhile, we got a total vehicle. She's out at 3:30 in the morning conducting personal business. She's in an XLT 4x4, but the ice and the blizzard conditions were just too much for the vehicle. She only hit a small sapling and a parked car, damaging the bumper of the headlight. Yet it caused $32,700 worth of damage to the taxpayer's vehicle. She didn't report it until 2 days after the fact. This guy who says that she was, no signs of intoxication, extremely cooperated. Then, 6 months and some change later, he's the chief? I don't know. What do you guys think? And I told you Edgewood would be important, and here's why. Because on November 29th of 2000, this was posted about Thomas Kaczynski, badge number 702 with the Edgewood Police. There was a complaint for harassment, discrimination, prolonged detainment. The names of the victims weren't published to the internet report. But here's what happened on that night. On the night of November 24, 2000, approximately 11 p.m., victims 1 and 2 were pulled over and held for approximately 1 hour. What kind of traffic stop takes 1 hour? When you pull a citizen over, you handle the infractions, you write the tickets, you put them on their way. What in the world were you doing for an hour if it were not harassing, discriminating, and of course, a prolonged detainment? So this is what he had done, right? So during the time victim 1 was asked repeatedly, what is your real name? I know a lot of you Muslims change your names. And this is from 2000. So the World Trade Centers hadn't even come down yet. So I'm not even trying to hear that noise that, oh, well, it was an extremely emotional time in the country. We had a lot going on with because let's put it this way. Not every Muslim is a terrorist. So even with that heightened sense of, people are a little upset about the towers, which, I had family in New York City at the time. You don't need to tell me how scary. I was in 6th grade, Mr. Weaver's class. I'm sure we all remember where we were on September 11th of 2001. But I mean, this guy in 2000 is clearly, he's very racist towards the Muslim community, at least according to this. And I will say, just so you guys don't think I'm making this stuff up, this was something that was found. This is a message board where this guy, Jonathan Tate, has gone through for us, and he has listed different police from all over the country. And, just some of the things that they've had complaints filed on them for. I mean, we got some pretty egregious stuff in here, I must say. Some things going on with minors that shouldn't be happening. This isn't all Mr. Kaczynski, of course, but he is up towards the top of the list. Let's see, we got We got the Attorney General for mail fraud and racketeering. We got Judith Barrett. We got Scott Carroll. And then when we come down here, we have right here, Edgewood guy. So this guy, who's the captain of the department at the time of the incident, says how great Miss Ziccarelli is. Like I said, that was December 18th of 2023. And then 6 months and some change later, he's made the chief of police, which he still to this day is the chief of police. You know, this wasn't that long ago. So here's what I'd like to do now. These were just some notes that I took while I was, going over these articles and some things that I felt were just a little out of touch. So we're gonna do a quick recap here. Bear with me. If you're still watching, I appreciate you. If you've already canceled out, I mean, that's part of the reason that these people are able to get away with some of the nonsense they're able to get away with, because we're not paying attention. So as I said, December 18th, 2023, this is my analysis of the Westmoreland County District Attorney's use of the county vehicle involving that crash. So some red flags and concerns that I had. The use of the vehicle at 3:30 a.m. The crash occurred as Ziccarelli was reportedly driving home from comforting a grieving friend. While this may be a legitimate personal matter, it raises questions about whether the use of taxpayer-funded vehicles for personal purposes was appropriate. I'm going to say in this example, inappropriate. County vehicles are explicitly designed for work purposes and minor personal use, as we said, stopping at convenience stores, getting lunch while you're out on business, not going out at 3:30 in the morning during a blizzard. Driving at this hour so late for personal reasons stretches the limits of what constitutes minor personal use. The optics of an elected official using a public resource for non-work related activities at this hour undermines public confidence in the proper use of taxpayer funds. That's just how I'm feeling. So the extent of the damage, right? Big red flag. The crash caused $33,000 in damage to a 2021 Ford Explorer, a figure that suggests a significant impact inconsistent with low-speed skidding on icy roads. Additionally, airbags were deployed, indicating a substantial collision. So, Ronzona, you can take that small sapling and you can sit on it, my friend, because I'm not buying that BS, and I hope my fellow citizen is also not buying that BS. The driving statistics alone, early morning hours, especially around 3:30 a.m., are among some of the riskiest times for driving due to fatigue, low visibility, and hazardous road conditions like ice. If speed or impairment played a role, these factors should have been investigated. Like I said, Captain becomes a chief 6 months and some change later. He says that there were no issues of impairment or speeding. So the delay and incomplete reporting. County officials stated that they had not received documents related to private insurance claims or detailed crash reports. Additionally, the property owner's insurance company deferred processing a claim, and the investigation appears to have lacked prompt follow-up. It's just how I see it, right? Ziccarelli did not submit mileage logs for 2022, her first year in office, violating county policy requiring detailed logs for take-home vehicles. This raises questions about transparency and accountability. See, that's one of the things that I think that a lot of these people in these positions acting under color of state law, they fail to accept, is that the taxpayer, right, the citizen, the constituent, you work for us. If I tell one of my employees, I want you to log your miles and I want you to only use this car for work purposes, and I find out that they took it out at 3:30 in the morning and that they're not logging the miles, well, then we have a problem. I'm talking about from my my personal business, I'm not talking about my business with you, Miss Ziccarelli. And the business I'm talking about is you're an elected official. I'm a citizen. But I think that any boss of an employee would have an issue with that sort of, I mean, what should we call it? Insubordination? You're just not listening. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? As I said, the minimizing of the property damage, Chief Detective Ron Zona downplayed the damage caused in the crash in his communications, referring to it as a small tree and a broken headlight cover, despite evidence to the contrary. Again, like I said, Mr. Ron Zona is just a blatant liar. He's a tyrant. He's a crook. He is not a good human being. He is the last person that we want as the chief detective for the Westmoreland County Detectives Bureau. As far as North Huntington is concerned, believe me, guys, he is the last person that we want sitting up on that commissioner's board talking about some of the things that affect all of us here locally in North Huntington. He's just not. I had Mr. Zona as I was calling him out for some of these behaviors. He took an offensive posture with me, did his hands like this, and said, "Bring it on. Bring it on. You want me to bring it on, Mr. Zona? Consider it brought, you fucking tyrant." Downplaying the crash minimizes its seriousness and could indicate attempts to shield Miss Ziccarelli from scrutiny. I have to say, that was my thought after every article, every detail, that she was protected. She made a whoopsie, and her people, whether it be people she put in position or her people that she attends parties with or whatever the case may be, her colleagues were shielding her from accountability. That's how I felt reading some of this information. Then I have some investigation recommendations, if I was there to oversee things, but that's not really that important. Some driving statistics to consider, also not really important. But here's my conclusion. The circumstances surrounding the crash raise serious questions about transparency, accountability, and compliance with county policies. A thorough investigation is warranted to address these concerns, ensure proper use of taxpayer resources, and maintain public trust in the integrity of elected officials. My call to action to my fellow citizens, especially those who made it this far with me into the vehicle, I just encourage you that if we leave government to police itself unchecked and unchallenged, we will inevitably find ourselves at the mercy of tyrants. In a constitutional republic such as ours, the power resides with the people, not the government. It is not merely our right, it is our responsibility to hold public officials accountable for their actions. The preservation of liberty requires vigilance, engagement, and the courage to demand truth and justice. Together, we must create and enforce the checks and balances necessary to ensure the power is wielded not for personal privilege, but for the benefit of all. The time to act is now. We got some tyrants sitting on the commissioner's board here locally in North Huntington Township. Clearly, we have a tyrant sitting up in the district attorney's office. And the reason I say that is because of my situation with a car accident on July 7th of 2024. She has not responded to any emails. She has not responded to any phone calls. She hasn't done what I need her to do to help me navigate this situation, this tragic situation that my family finds itself in. In fact, what I've been told is that the one officer, and I got to shout this guy out, Ted Kukic. Ted Kukic is the only person in this entire situation that my family is going through right now that has been honest with us. And what his honesty, what his honesty got him was an early retirement. And somebody filed, I'm assuming the district attorney's office, I can't say for sure, but somebody filed a gag order on Mr. Kukic to prevent him from discussing the accident with me. Because what he did is he pointed out a lot of things that happened that were preventable. He pointed out a lot of procedure and protocol that was deviated from. He exposed a lot of lies that were coming to my family out of that police department, which in turn has put us in a position where we will not be able to seek justice for, the injuries that Katie has suffered. Spoliation of evidence is a serious offense. Miss Ziccarelli should know how serious of an offense spoliation of evidence is. And I have to say that I feel after reading this article about her accident and the implication that she was potentially shielded, I can't help but feel that not feel, but I guess feel. I feel like that's what she's doing right now. She's trying to shield the North Huntington Police Department from assuming responsibility and being accountable to their accident. I don't think it's an accident, though, to be honest with you. I mean, you got one guy making a mistake, okay, maybe two, but I've been lied to by the chief of police, Robert Rizzo, lieutenant of administration, Gregory Arendez, patrolman Dan Leroy. Did I pronounce that right, Dan? The name is spelled Lore. I say Lore, and he gets really upset when I mispronounce his name. Been lied to and hung up by him. Had threatening letters sent to me from the township solicitor. I've been hung up on and my number blocked by victim services at the county. I mean, you name it, it's happened. Ron Zona threatened me with arrest if I continued to call asking lawful questions, my lawful inquiries. So, it looks like there's a lot of shielding, a lot of plausible deniability, a lot of tyranny going on. And, I'm not able to do much right now. I'm kind of in a position where my main focus is Jordan, who was also in that car with Katie when it got macked by a driver doing 90 miles an hour. My responsibility right now is to them and to ensuring that they get some kind of justice. But in the meantime, I'm more than happy to do some research and to dig into topics like this and present the evidence and the situations to my fellow citizen. Because I'm telling you guys, I think they laugh at us because they printed on all the money, but it couldn't be more true, especially in today's society. United we stand, divided we fall. If we continue to remain divided on things and we don't come together and hold these people accountable when they fail us, then we are just going to continue to get steamrolled. The gap between haves and have nots will continue to widen. We have a chance to get in front of this right now, and we have a chance to prevent it from getting to a place of no return, because anybody that's picked up a history book, anybody who understands how America got to where it is today from the early days, knows that eventually there will be a point of no return if things continue to move at the trajectory they are currently going. But that's all I have. I really, really appreciate you guys, again, the support to me and my family as we navigate this corrupt system that we have found ourselves in. And anybody who took the time to listen to what I had to say and allow me to present this information, please drop a comment, your thoughts. I'm interested on what you think. Send me a private message if you don't feel comfortable putting the comments publicly. I encourage all of you to start attending your township meetings, your county meetings, and start asking questions. Do not let these people bully you into thinking that you have no power, because what I can assure you is this: the citizen of the United States of America is the most powerful person. You are more powerful than the president of the United States. They don't want you to know that, though, because they know that when you figure out how powerful you are, they got a real problem on their hands. And that's what I'm starting to enlighten some of these tyrants to, is just how powerful I am as a United States citizen. So again, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Please be safe moving into the New Year's. As you can see, 3:30 in the morning, we got some crazy drivers out there doing some crazy things, wrecking sapling trees and cracking headlights. So just be safe, be careful. May God bless all of you.